But a bad day for Tottenham again. Karen, what does that result mean for the club and for Ange Postecoglou?
He was already under pressure, wasn't he? But when you look at the table, I think they're on 24 points. You look at it and you're like, wow, I didn't even realise when looking at how low down they were. But look, I think I do worry for him. You know, as soon as the fans start having a go at Daniel Levy, usually that means Daniel Levy acts and takes the pressure off him a little bit. He has had money this year, Ange, and obviously a lot of criticism has been because he's been so stubborn. And that's gone against him.
Very young players, though.
Yeah, and I think that's tough. You know, a lot of players mentioned Archie Gray's gone in different positions, and I feel for him. But look, the results can't lie, and I think for Ange it might be a little too far. I like him. I love his football. I love his entertainment that he brought to the club, and the fans wanted that. But the results just haven't been good enough.
Karen's saying it's a shock when you look at the table. So are they in a relegation fight, do you think?
They're there or there, but they're around it, and that's what any Spurs fan, Daniel Levy included, will be going, well, we can't be involved in that or anywhere near it. Man United are only a place above them. But if I was Ange, I'd turn my phone off for a couple of days minimum, just to try and get through to the next game. But I would say, I think, I interviewed him early, at some point last season, and I was really impressed with him. And one of the things I actually was quite refreshing I liked about him, he says, I am what I am, I'm not going to change. And I respect that and I understand that. But when you have the amount of injuries that they've had, and the amount of young players that he's had to bring in, inexperienced players he's had to bring in, then that makes me think you have to be a bit more adaptable with your tactics to support those young players and give them a bit better of a foundation and build around them, to give them an opportunity to get their foot into games and maybe nick a couple of results to build some confidence. He hasn't done that, and I think they've been hugely punished. Look at them results there, loads of reds. Yeah. So, difficult times for Spurs right now.
Just 1 point in their last 7, Karen. Even with the injuries, are they enough of a mitigating factor when you look at those results?
I don't think yesterday helped when you look at Bournemouth, who've got 10 out and still had that result yesterday. So I think it's difficult. I think the only thing maybe would be interesting to see about that semi-final, that cup game, whether they're holding on to see what he does with that.
Yeah, but Karen, he sacked a manager going into a cup final before, so there'd be no confidence from
Jose
that.
Mourinho, wasn't it? So, yeah, I know that there's another factor. But like you said, I like Ange. We worked with him at the Euros, and he's an honest guy. But unfortunately, those Reds are not going to get Spurs where they want to be at this moment. So I'm sure it's a bit of a rough time for him.
Do you think it would be the right thing to do to give him that time to try and get the players back and turn it around, especially given the amount of young players he's having to field?
I think you've got to speak to him. I think you've got to check his temperature as to where he is. I think the last few interviews I've seen, he's been very, very tetchy, prickly, understandably, because the results ain't good, and he hasn't liked the line of questioning, which is everyone's entitled to that. But he looks a man under pressure right now, and that would be a concern.